The modern internet connects billions instantly, but for centuries, a different kind of network thrived: the Silk Road. More than just a trade route for silk, it was a conduit for ideas, religions, technologies, and artistic styles across Eurasia. Stretching from China to the Mediterranean, this sprawling web fostered unprecedented cultural exchange, fundamentally shaping civilizations. Our journey begins not with cables and satellites, but with camels, caravans, and the enduring human desire to connect. The Silk Road's origins are complex, evolving over centuries. While sporadic trade existed earlier, its formalization is often linked to the Han Dynasty in China 207 BCE, 220 CE. Emperor Wu's desire for strong horses from Central Asia, vital for military campaigns against nomadic Xiongnu tribes, spurred initial expansion westward. This need quickly evolved into a broader pursuit of luxury goods, establishing crucial trading posts and diplomatic missions that laid the groundwork for the interconnected network we know as the Silk Road. The goods traveling along the Silk Road were remarkably diverse. While silk was paramount, highly prized, and coveted across empires, spices like cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg flowed westward. From Europe came wool, linen, amber, and precious metals. Beyond commodities, knowledge itself became a valuable trade item. Medical practices, astronomical observations, mathematical concepts, all were exchanged, adapted, and built upon along this dynamic route. The journey was fraught with peril. Bandits preyed on vulnerable caravans, and the harsh environment, scorching deserts, towering mountains, frozen steppes, demanded immense resilience. Disease also spread rapidly along the routes, devastating populations. The risks were significant, but the potential rewards, both economic and cultural, proved irresistible to merchants, explorers, and missionaries alike. Key cities flourished along the Silk Road, transforming into vibrant hubs of commerce and cultural interaction. Samarkand, located in modern-day Uzbekistan, became a pivotal crossroads, connecting east and west. Dunhuang in China was famed for its Buddhist cave temples adorned with breathtaking murals. Antioch in Syria thrived as a Roman trading center with strong Eastern influences. Buddhism's remarkable journey westward is inextricably linked to the Silk Road. Originating in India, Buddhist monks and missionaries traveled along these routes, establishing monasteries and translating scriptures into local languages. The faith spread rapidly eastward, profoundly influencing cultures from Central Asia to China, Korea, and Japan. This diffusion of religious beliefs highlights the profound impact of cultural exchange. The transmission of technology along the Silk Road also revolutionized societies. Chinese innovations, such as paper making and gunpowder, gradually made their way westward, impacting everything from communication to warfare. Similarly, advancements in irrigation techniques and agricultural practices traveled east, increasing food production and supporting population growth across Eurasia. The Mongol Empire, 1206–1368, played a crucial role in revitalizing and expanding the Silk Road during the 13th and 14th centuries. Under Genghis Khan and his successors, a period of relative peace, the Pax Mongolica facilitated safer travel and trade across vast distances. This era witnessed unprecedented levels of cultural exchange and commercial prosperity. The decline of the Silk Road was not sudden but gradual, influenced by several factors. The rise of maritime trade routes in the 15th century offered a faster and cheaper alternative to overland travel. Political instability within empires and increasing European colonization further disrupted established trade networks. While its prominence waned, the legacy of the Silk Road continues to resonate. The Silk Road serves as a powerful reminder that globalization is not a modern phenomenon. For centuries, interconnectedness shaped civilizations, fostered innovation, and enriched cultures across Eurasia. Examining this ancient network offers valuable insights into the complexities of cross-cultural exchange and highlights the enduring human drive to connect with one another, a legacy that continues to shape our world today. The Sogdians, a Persian people inhabiting the region of modern-day Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, emerged as pivotal players in Silk Road trade during the 7th century CE. Their mastery of languages, particularly Persian Chinese, and various Turkic dialects facilitated communication across vast distances. Sogdian traders established networks throughout Central Asia and even into China, acting as vital intermediaries between East and West. They weren't simply merchants, they were diplomats, interpreters, and cultural brokers, ensuring the smooth flow of goods and ideas along the Silk Road's arteries. The standardization of weights and measures proved crucial for reliable trade. While regional variations persisted, the adoption of common systems, particularly along key routes, reduced disputes and fostered trust among merchants from different cultures. Silver became a preferred currency, its intrinsic value recognized across diverse empires, simplifying transactions. The development of bills of exchange, early forms of credit instruments, further eased financial burdens for long-distance traders, reducing the need to transport large sums of precious metals. Caravanserais, roadside inns, were more than just places to rest, they served as vital hubs for information exchange. Travelers from distant lands shared news, rumors, and geographical knowledge, enriching the collective understanding of the Silk Road's vast landscape. These gatherings fostered a sense of community among disparate groups, facilitating the spread of innovations in agriculture, medicine, and technology. The caravanserai became an informal marketplace not just for goods, but for intelligence itself. The transmission of Buddhist scriptures along the Silk Road played a significant role in shaping religious landscapes. Monks traveled alongside caravans, translating texts into local languages and establishing monasteries that served as centers for learning and pilgrimage. The Gandharan style of Buddhist art, blending Greek artistic techniques with Indian iconography, is testament to this cultural fusion facilitated by trade routes. Buddhism's adaptability allowed it to flourish across diverse communities. Diseases, unfortunately, were not the only things traveling the Silk Road. Epidemics like measles and smallpox spread rapidly along trade routes, decimating populations in both East and West. The lack of understanding regarding disease transmission, a concept centuries away from scientific explanation, exacerbated their impact. These outbreaks often disrupted trade and caused widespread social upheaval, highlighting the vulnerability inherent in interconnectedness. The development of maritime routes alongside the traditional overland Silk Road gradually began to challenge its dominance. While land trade remained vital for certain goods and regions, sea voyages offered advantages in terms of speed and cargo capacity. The Arab sailors, particularly skilled navigators, expanded their reach along coastlines, eventually creating alternative networks that would reshape global commerce. This shift marked a period of transition, not an immediate decline. Paper's journey from China to the West is perhaps one of the Silk Road's most transformative legacies. Initially a closely guarded secret, its gradual introduction revolutionized record keeping and scholarship across Eurasia. The laborious process of papermaking, using mulberry bark and other natural fibers, was eventually mastered in Persia and later Europe, accelerating literacy and facilitating intellectual advancement. It fundamentally changed how knowledge was preserved and disseminated. Musical instruments and melodies also traveled the Silk Road, blending into diverse cultural traditions. The pipa, a Chinese lute, found its way to Persia and the Middle East, influencing musical styles along the way. Similarly, Central Asian stringed instruments like the dutar were adopted in China, demonstrating how artistic expression transcended geographical boundaries. Music served as an emotional bridge between vastly different cultures. The decline of the Mongol Empire in the 14th century CE significantly disrupted Silk Road trade. The fragmentation of their vast territory led to increased political instability and insecurity along key routes, making travel more dangerous and costly. Coupled with advancements in maritime technology enabling cheaper sea-based alternatives, overland trade gradually diminished, though it never completely ceased. Regional networks persisted, but the unified system was broken. Despite its eventual decline as a dominant force in global commerce, the legacy of the Silk Road endures. It served as an unprecedented network for cultural exchange, technological innovation, and economic interconnectedness, a precursor to our modern digital world. The stories of merchants, monks, and travelers along these ancient routes remind us of humanity's enduring desire to connect, explore, and share across borders, shaping the world we inhabit today. The standardization of weights and measures along the Silk Road wasn't merely about fairness, it facilitated complex trade networks across vast distances. Different empires, like the Tang dynasty in China and the Abbasid Caliphate, gradually adopted common systems for precious metals, gold dinars and silver taels being particularly influential. This consistency reduced ambiguity and risk for merchants, enabling larger transactions and more sophisticated financial instruments to develop. While local variations persisted, this burgeoning harmonization played a crucial role in solidifying the Silk Road's economic foundations. The spread of paper manufacturing, originating in China during the Han Dynasty, proved revolutionary for the Silk Road. Initially a closely guarded secret, its production techniques slowly diffused westward via Central Asia and into the Islamic world by the 8th century. Paper's lightness and affordability drastically reduced the cost of record keeping and communication compared to cumbersome parchment or silk. This spurred increased literacy rates amongst merchant classes, facilitating more complex contracts, inventories, and correspondence across linguistic boundaries. The rise of merchant guilds along the Silk Road demonstrated an early form of cooperative business practice. These organizations, found in cities like Samarkand and Baghdad, provided mutual support, negotiated trade agreements with local rulers, and enforced standards of quality for goods. Guilds also offered protection against bandits and unfair taxation, creating a sense of community and shared responsibility among merchants facing significant risks on long journeys. They represent an important precedent for modern commercial organizations. The transmission of musical instruments and styles along the Silk Road is a testament to cultural exchange. The pipa, originally from Central Asia, became immensely popular in China, while Persian lute-like instruments influenced music further east. Instruments weren't merely objects, they served as conduits for transmitting melodies, rhythms, and entire aesthetic philosophies between cultures. Musical performance also played a vital role in diplomatic exchanges and entertainment at royal courts along the route. The development of sophisticated postal systems, like the Tang dynasty's imperial post, was essential for maintaining control and facilitating communication across vast territories. These networks utilized relay stations strategically placed along the Silk Road, allowing messages, often carried by swift horses, to traverse hundreds of miles in days. While primarily used for government missives, these systems also benefited merchants needing urgent information about market conditions or political developments. The spread of agricultural techniques also flowed along the Silk Road. New crops like alfalfa from Persia were introduced to China, improving livestock feed and enriching soil. Similarly, Chinese rice cultivation methods gradually diffused westward, enhancing food production in regions struggling with less fertile land. This exchange wasn't always immediate or successful. Adaptation often required considerable experimentation and local knowledge. The impact on fashion was undeniable. Chinese silk became a luxury item coveted across Eurasia, influencing styles from Byzantium to Scandinavia. Fabrics and dyes traveled in both directions. Indian cotton patterns found their way into Persian textiles, while European wools were adapted for use in Central Asian clothing. These trends mirrored the broader flow of goods and ideas, creating a vibrant tapestry of cultural influences. The role of nomadic peoples, like the Sogdians and Uyghurs, as intermediaries cannot be overstated. These groups, often living on the fringes of settled empires, acted as crucial links between East and West. Their multilingual skills, knowledge of terrain, and established trade networks allowed them to navigate cultural differences and facilitate exchange across complex political landscapes. They were essential brokers in this vast system. While the Silk Road fostered remarkable exchange, it also facilitated the spread of disease. The bubonic plague, or Black Death, is believed to have traveled westward along these routes in the 14th century, with devastating consequences for Europe and beyond. This stark reminder underscores the interconnectedness of societies, both positive and negative, that characterized this era. Disease awareness was minimal, contributing to rapid transmission. The decline of the Mongol Empire in the 14th century marked a turning point for the Silk Road. Political fragmentation, increased regional conflicts, and the rise of maritime trade routes gradually diminished its importance. While overland trade continued, it never regained its former prominence. The legacy of the Silk Road, however, endures, a testament to human ingenuity, cultural exchange, and the enduring power of interconnectedness. The Mongol Empire's Pax Mongolica, the Mongol Peace, fundamentally reshaped the Silk Road in the 13th century. Genghis Khan and his successors prioritized security along trade routes, suppressing banditry and standardizing weights and measures. This fostered an unprecedented era of commercial expansion. While brutal in its conquest, the Mongols inadvertently built a more reliable infrastructure for long-distance exchange. The sheer scale of their empire meant that merchants could travel vast distances with relative safety, carrying goods previously unimaginable across continents. This stability was crucial for the continued flow of ideas and technology. Paper money, initially developed in China during the Song dynasty, found widespread adoption along the Silk Road thanks to Mongol encouragement. This solved the logistical nightmare of transporting precious metals like gold and silver over such long distances. While early paper currency was often backed by these metals, its increasing acceptance simplified transactions and facilitated larger-scale trade. The concept gradually diffused westward, influencing financial systems in Europe centuries later. However, reliance on paper money also introduced vulnerabilities. Inflation and counterfeiting became recurring challenges. The spread of gunpowder technology exemplifies the Silk Road's role as a conduit for innovation. While initially used primarily for fireworks and medicinal purposes, Chinese knowledge of gunpowder gradually reached Europe via Central Asia. Arab alchemists further refined the process, improving its explosive power. By the 13th century, European armies were deploying rudimentary cannons and firearms. This marked a significant turning point in military history, fundamentally altering warfare and contributing to the decline of feudalism. The transmission of medical knowledge was another vital component of Silk Road exchange. Arabic physicians translated and preserved ancient Greek texts, incorporating them into their own practices. These advancements, including surgical techniques and herbal remedies, were then disseminated eastward along the trade routes. Conversely, Chinese medical innovations like acupuncture found their way westward, influencing healing traditions across Eurasia. This constant cross-pollination of ideas significantly advanced healthcare in multiple regions. The Black Death devastating Europe in the mid-14th century serves as a tragic illustration of the Silk Road's interconnectedness. The bubonic plague likely originated in Central Asia and spread westward along trade routes, carried by fleas on rodents aboard merchant ships and caravans. This pandemic decimated populations across Eurasia, profoundly impacting social structures, economic systems, and religious beliefs. It underscored the vulnerability inherent in globalized networks even in a pre-modern world. The decline of the Mongol Empire in the 14th century led to fragmentation and instability along the Silk Road. Regional powers asserted their independence, disrupting established trade routes and increasing the risk of banditry. The rise of maritime trade offered an alternative route for goods between East and West, gradually diminishing the importance of overland caravans. While not a sudden collapse, this period marked the beginning of a long decline in the Silk Road's dominance. The Venetian merchants, skilled navigators, and shrewd traders played a pivotal role in shifting trade focus from the Silk Road to maritime routes. Their exploration and establishment of sea lanes connecting Europe with Asia bypassed overland obstacles and offered faster, cheaper transport for goods. The increased accessibility fostered economic growth in Venice and other European port cities, while simultaneously contributing to the gradual decline of traditional Silk Road hubs like Samarkand. The impact on Central Asia was profound. Cities that had thrived as crucial nodes within the Silk Road network, like Bukhara and Merv, experienced economic downturns and population decline. While trade didn't cease entirely, their importance diminished significantly. The region's cultural identity, shaped over centuries by diverse influences flowing through the Silk Road, began to shift as external connections weakened. This period marked a transition towards more localized economies and societies. Despite its decline, the Silk Road's legacy endures. The exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultural practices facilitated by these ancient trade routes profoundly shaped civilizations across Eurasia. From mathematics to medicine, from gunpowder to paper money, the impact is undeniable. The Silk Road serves as a powerful reminder of humanity's innate desire for connection and exchange, a fundamental driver of progress throughout history. Today, the Belt and Road Initiative, a modern infrastructure project spearheaded by China, explicitly draws inspiration from the historical Silk Road. While its goals and implications are complex and debated, it underscores the enduring symbolic power of this ancient network, a testament to the lasting appeal of connecting East and West. The echoes of the Silk Road resonate in our interconnected world, reminding us that global exchange is not a recent phenomenon, but rather a deeply rooted aspect of human history. The Mongol Empire, at its zenith in the 13th century, dramatically reshaped the Silk Road's landscape. Genghis Khan's conquests initially brought devastation, but his successors, recognizing the economic potential of the existing trade networks, instituted the Pax Mongolica, a period of relative peace and stability across vast swaths of Eurasia. This facilitated unprecedented levels of movement for merchants, diplomats, and missionaries, creating an environment where goods and ideas flowed with unparalleled ease. The Mongols standardized weights, measures, and even paper money, further simplifying transactions along this vital artery of global exchange. The spread of paper technology from China westward proved revolutionary. Before its arrival, Europe relied on cumbersome parchment or expensive vellum for writing. Paper's affordability drastically lowered the cost of books and documents, fueling literacy rates and facilitating the dissemination of knowledge across the Silk Road. Printing techniques soon followed, further accelerating this process. The ability to reproduce texts quickly and cheaply transformed education, administration, and even artistic expression, profoundly impacting societies from Venice to Samarkand. Disease traveled the Silk Road as relentlessly as trade. The Black Death, originating likely in Central Asia, ravaged Europe in the mid-14th century. Carried by fleas on rats within cargo holds and along caravan routes, this pandemic decimated populations, disrupting economies and reshaping social structures. While devastating, the plague also inadvertently led to labor shortages, potentially contributing to the decline of feudalism and a shift towards wage labor, a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of trade, disease, and societal change. The rise of maritime trade routes in the 15th century gradually began to eclipse the Silk Road's dominance. European explorers, seeking alternative paths to the east bypassing Ottoman control, charted sea lanes around Africa and across the Atlantic. While overland routes never disappeared entirely, the shift towards naval power fundamentally altered global trade patterns. The cost of maritime voyages decreased compared to arduous land journeys, making ocean-based commerce increasingly attractive to merchants and nations. The Ottoman Empire's control over key Silk Road routes in the late medieval and early modern periods had significant economic consequences. Increased tariffs and restrictions on trade spurred European powers to seek alternative routes, hastening the decline of overland networks. However, Ottoman merchants themselves continued to profit from the flow of goods, becoming major players in a redefined global economy, demonstrating how control of infrastructure could create immense wealth. The legacy of the Silk Road extends far beyond mere trade. It was a conduit for religious exchange. Buddhism spread from India to China, transforming East Asian culture. Christianity reached Central Asia along these routes, and Islam expanded eastward into Southeast Asia. This constant interaction fostered cultural syncretism, the blending of traditions and beliefs, creating vibrant hybrid societies along the Silk Road's path. The transmission of scientific and technological knowledge along the Silk Road was critical to advancements across Eurasia. Chinese innovations like gunpowder, compasses, and printing reached Europe, while Arabic numerals and astronomical observations traveled eastward. This two-way exchange fostered a spirit of innovation and intellectual curiosity that propelled progress in multiple fields. The Silk Road, therefore, wasn't just about moving goods, it was about sharing the collective wisdom of humanity. The rediscovery and revitalization of the Silk Road concept in the modern era reflects a renewed interest in interconnectedness. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, aims to build infrastructure and strengthen trade relationships across Eurasia, echoing the historical routes. While facing contemporary challenges, this ambitious project underscores the enduring allure of the Silk Road as a model for global cooperation and economic development. The physical remnants of the Silk Road, crumbling caravanserai, ruined cities, and ancient temples serve as poignant reminders of its profound impact. Archaeological discoveries continue to shed light on the lives of those who lived and worked along these routes, enriching our understanding of this complex historical network. Protecting and preserving these sites is crucial not only for cultural heritage, but also for maintaining a tangible connection to a shared human past. The Silk Road stands as a powerful testament to humanity's innate desire for connection and exchange. It wasn't merely a trade route, it was a dynamic network that fostered cultural diffusion, technological innovation, and religious interaction across continents. Its story reminds us that globalization is not a modern phenomenon but a deeply rooted aspect of human history, a continuous process of sharing ideas, goods, and experiences that has shaped the world we inhabit today.